Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got two heavy hitters for shells to put up head to head with each other. Both of these shells have been nasty performers in our testing. They're a big stout load. They're not the cheapest thing out there, but if you want an absolute hammer for a turkey pattern, these two are probably some of the best shells out there right now. So we'll see what they can do when we put them head to head. We've never tested either one of them through today's choke combo either, which has also been another hammer. So we'll see what everything can do when we put them all head to head with each other. But first, for the two shells that we've got today, I brought out these two. We've got some Kinetic Gunwerks loads and some Epic Shotshell loads. Both of these are a 12 gauge, 3-inch, 2-ounce payload of TSS 9s. The Epic shells are moving about 1100, the Kinetic shells are moving about 1200, and the Epic shells are part of their extreme pattern line as well. We know both of these are absolute killers for shells, so I figured we'd bring both of them out here, run them head to head, and see if there's one that's going to outshoot the other. We know both of them are going to be devastating, but I'm curious to see how big of a difference there actually is between these two. Before the setup that we're going to run them in, I brought out my Mossberg 500. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running the Jebs Head Hunter. This one's a 665 constriction. This choke has also been another hammer for us. We know what it's capable of, so I see no reason why we shouldn't see two devastating patterns out of both of these shells when we run them through this choke. So we should have an absolutely nasty performing combination here today. But as for today's test, we're running everything the same as usual. I've got both turkey targets set up side by side at 40 yards with the chronograph as well. So let's get you guys a view of those targets. We'll take both of our shots and we'll see what kind of devastation we can actually get down there at 40. Both are going to be impressive, I'm sure, unless something wildly crazy happens. But let's take our shots and see just how good they really are, and if there's one that way outshoots the other or not. Alright, so we'll take a quick look at our velocities before we look at our patterns. The Epic shells had a boss claim of 1100. We had 1166 out of those, so a little bit above their claim, but mid 1100s I believe is what we have been seeing from them. And our Kinetic shells had a boss claim of 1200. We had 1171 out of those, so a little bit below that boss claim, but both are moving very similar velocities here. So same payload, very close in velocity, but how close were they in pattern performance? I think we got two nasty results down there, but let's go check it out and see just how good each one really is. All right, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and just like I suspected, we have two devastating results down here. We have our Epic on the left and the Kinetic on the right. Both of them are absolute hammers. Both of them are very similar patterns. I think the numbers are going to be pretty close on both of them. You can't go wrong with either one of them, I can tell you that right now. But first, we'll start over here on the left with our Epic shells. Obviously, that bird is absolutely hammered. That is a nasty swarm of pellets right there around his head. Nice even spread of pellets as well. No major voids or anything like that within there. Might have a couple tiny little flyers off the bottom there. Maybe one down there as well. Nothing major though. That's what the extreme lineup of their shells is supposed to do, is give you that nice, tight, condensed, even spread without throwing a ton of flyers everywhere. And this is pretty typical for what we've seen from these shells. Technically speaking, we may have seen a touch tighter pattern from them before, but I mean, you're splitting hairs here. You can't complain about that kind of pattern. Clearly, that pattern can speak for itself. It's devastating, no other way to put it. So yet again, another hammer for the Epic shells. No surprise there. I'll take that all day long. But now moving over here to our Kinetic shells, we did favor a touch left with that pattern. I do think that one might have been on me just a little bit, but that's why we used the backing paper so we can see our whole pattern. And yet again, another nasty spread. Nice hot core right there in front of that bird's head. Ton of pellets, no major voids or anything like that. We might have a little bit more circular shape to the pattern here than what we saw with the Epic shells. We absolutely still have a dead bird. You can see a ton of them up through the brain there, but if that was centered up, yeah, absolute jellyhead scenario, no doubt about it. Still, with the flyers, we might have a couple little bits and pieces down at the bottom, maybe a few over there off the right, and maybe a couple at the very top up there. Still nothing major, maybe a couple more than what we got with the Epic shells, but overall, very similar patterns. I think the numbers are going to be pretty similar. Maybe these Kinetic shells might have a few more pellets through the 10-inch ring right in the center of the pattern, but we'll see as soon as we pull these targets down and count some pellets. Overall, though, you can't go wrong with either one of these. So just as I suspected, two absolute hammers here, no doubt about it. Pick your poison here, really. Whichever one you want to order, whichever company you want to support, whichever one is cheaper, you know, whatever basis you go off of, either one is going to do the job just fine. So let's pull both of these targets down. I'll finish drawing all of our circles, counting some pellets, which there's going to be an awful lot of them. But let's pull the targets out of the way and see numbers-wise what the true difference is between these two. All right, well, here we have our two targets without the turkey papers in the way. And yeah, just like we suspected, both of them are absolute hammers. And really, they're both pretty identical. Mathematically, I think we might have one that's a touch better than the other, but I think this is just about as close as you can get to being pretty identical. This is pretty well the definition of pick your poison, quite literally. The turkey is never going to know the difference between these two shells. But again, first off, we'll start with our epic shells. We have a 10 and a 20-inch circle drawn there, and there is a ton of pellets within there. Nice, even 10-inch core area there. No voids in there at all, except maybe just a tiny little one at the bottom corner down there of it. Nothing major, though. That's 343 pellets within there, and there are some that are stacked just about in the same hole, so it may be a little closer to 350 or so, but a definite 343 for sure. Absolutely devastating core area. Outside of that, with our 20-inch leeway ring, we pick up an additional 249 pellets, still keeping that pretty even spread. Might be a little bit thin at the bottom right corner down there, and have a few less pellets at the top edge than it does down towards the bottom half of it, but still very nice leeway there. Around the edges, we do have a few pellets here and there. Once again, nothing I'm too concerned with. That's just an absolute deadly pattern, no question about it. Did exactly what I thought it would do overall. Now, technically, they designed these shells most of the time running them through Indian Creek chokes. We have tested these through an Indian Creek choke with the same devastating results, but clearly this Jebs can handle them just fine as well. You might be able to split hairs and say we've seen a better pattern than that from them by a handful of pellets maybe, but these epic shells have just been consistent hammers, especially their extreme pattern lineup. So no complaints there from me. That's nasty. And now moving over to our Kinetic shells, we've got the same 10 and 20-inch circles drawn, the same nasty spread right within there as well, no voids to worry about. Within our 10-inch circle, we have 373 pellets compared to 343 with the epic shells, so we actually picked up 30 pellets within there. Seems like a decent number of them, but is the turkey going to tell the difference between 30 pellets when he's getting hit by that swarm? Absolutely not. And outside of that, with our 20-inch leeway ring, looks almost identical because it pretty well is. We have 247 pellets within there compared to 249 with the epic. So 2 less pellets. We gained 30 in the core, we lost 2 in the 20-inch ring, and we still have about the same as far as the edges go outside of that. A few little straggly bits, nothing I'm concerned with at all. That's another absolute hammer. Mathematically speaking, technically the Kinetic shell won here, I guess. It's almost identical in the 20-inch ring, and we have a handful more pellets in the core, but it's pretty nominal difference overall. I think if we shot these two back to back several times, they would pretty much bounce right around each other within a handful of pellets. So overall, really not much of a difference there whatsoever. Technically, you've got a touch hotter core area with the Kinetic on the right, but it really doesn't matter one bit when you're looking at these two shells. That 30 pellets is not something you will ever notice unless you're really trying to push these to some extreme ranges. You know, you're talking 55, 60 plus yards. And at that point, you start to run out of a little bit of energy with the TSS 9. That's where something like a 7 or 8 would come into play. But 40 to 50 yards or so, these are going to hammer. If you're hunting a field edge, that's going to do it. They're going to be tight in there at 20 yards, no question about it. But as far as the difference goes, at least through this Jebs choke, really not much of one, that's for sure. I was expecting both to be hammers, but I thought we would see a touch different spread between them, and we really didn't. So that just tells you that both of these are fantastic shells, and pick whichever one you want, I suppose. I wouldn't hesitate to run either one of them. And here we have our two wads out of those shells. Slightly different design on both of them, but they clearly did just fine. You've got the Epic on the left and the Kinetic on the right. No concerns from me. Little bit of scraping down here at the end, but that choke does have porting, so that's not unusual at all. Nothing stuck down in there, no major damage or nothing like that. They both look perfectly fine, and they performed perfectly fine. So nothing I'm concerned with here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about these results right here? I think all of us pretty well knew what we were going to see out of these two shells. We knew coming into it that both of them were going to be absolutely nasty unless something crazy and out of the ordinary happens. And we got exactly that. Two absolute hammers for patterns, no question about it. Obviously, I wouldn't hesitate to run either one of these. Now, do you need a big, fancy, heavy payload of TSS like these shells are? Definitely not. You can run a basic Winchester lead load and kill turkeys out to 40 yards all the same. But if you wanted to use TSS in a 12 gauge, then either one of these would be fantastic choices. Obviously, there's not much difference here. Pick your poison between these two. Whichever company you want to support, whichever price you want to pay, it just comes down to whichever one you prefer. Mathematically, technically, I think the Kinetic probably won. It's got 30 more pellets in the core than what the Epic does, but that's a pretty nominal difference overall. The turkey's never going to know the difference, and I mean, we can barely even tell the difference here between the patterns, looking at them side by side. You could mix and match these and take away the names of them, and they would look very similar. So I don't know that there is a dedicated winner. If we shot more of these shells side by side, I bet they would all float right around each other. Maybe sometimes the Epic shell would have a couple more pellets, maybe sometimes the Kinetic shell would have a couple more pellets. So really, no losers today. That's a win-win scenario, all things considered, if you want to run TSS in a 12 gauge. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested either one of these shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Are either one of these patterns a setup that you would actually want to hunt with? Or if you're running 12 gauge, would you prefer lead? But if you do want to run a TSS load, which of these patterns would you prefer? Do you think there's a winner, or would you take either one of them? And what other combos do you want to see us run those shells through? I've got a couple of them left, I believe, so let me know what you guys might want to see. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox. You can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see you all in the next one.